What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Watchtower podcast, the non-Jehovah's Witnesses Watchtower podcast. This is episode 210. 210. This is Urban Amazon, and yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about, and it's just, this world is bonkers. This world is bonkers, to say the least. But yeah, so if this is your first time here, this is what we do on Tuesdays and Saturdays. We get together and we watch for the signs of the return of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We don't know exactly when he's going to come, but we will know the season by the convergence of signs that we see that are constructing this Antichrist beast system in front of us. So we are seeing all these signs converging. Of course, we know 1948 was a big deal when Israel became a nation overnight. And in my opinion, that was like a trigger point where it's like, man, I mean, he could come at any time before that, but he can definitely come anytime after that. That's for sure. So we're watching the signs from this season. And so, yeah, that's what we do on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And it is Saturday. I actually remembered what day it was this time. But yeah, so Urban Amazon. Well, we've got some interesting things to cover. I'm sure some of you can realize probably that we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Amazon because we understand they're a big deal. But first, we're going to go ahead and clean up a mess that I made when it came to the petrodollar news. I was fooled and I messed up. I apologize. I try extremely hard to make sure that I can get the right information, verify it, double verify it, triple verify it, and make sure that it's going out. But I was indeed fooled by this one. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up and get you guys the official word of what's going on because it's not as black and white as some people might think it is. So we'll talk about that. We got the official, quote unquote official, as much as that means nowadays, but the official agreement between North Korea and Russia becoming military allies. And what's going on with that? That should be, it's no surprise. They've been allies this entire time. They're just making things official, I guess. Then we got some stuff when it comes to what's coming out. A recent WEF paper, World Economic Forum paper, that came out basically regarding what's going on with misinformation, hate speech, and all that stuff when it comes to the online situation and how ESG will be playing a role in that. Yes, everybody remembers ESG, right? It's kind of a thing that's been not talked about lately. Everybody thought it was dead there. And I don't think that's why anybody's talking about it anymore, but it's very much alive and it's not something that's going away as much as people might think. We're also going to be talking about what's going on with carbon taxes. Another thing that I don't think necessarily gets talked about very often is carbon stuff. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And then we've got a few things when it comes to UBI, the one world economy, as well as things coming with Amazon, with housing and emotional AI biometric scanners and stuff. Yeah, we got plenty to talk about tonight. So it's going to be a crazy one. So thank you guys for joining me today. So let's see what y'all are up to. I want to see how y'all are doing. Let's see here. I got to get over to the right screen first, of course. Let's see here. Let's pick a random spot. Let's start right here with Rick. What's going on, Rick? Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you had a good week, and thanks for spending your Saturday here with me, and thanks for being here, Rick. Hopefully you're doing all right. Tim is here as well. Jesus 2024 and forever. I agree. But if Jesus not 2024, I still think that we need to vote for Lord. No, it's Lord Buckethead and Count Binface. If you guys missed my video about Steve, the AI politician, then you don't know what I'm talking about. You think I've lost my marbles, which I lost those a long time ago. Where have you been? But those who did see that video, I'm sure you guys know what's going on. But good to see you, Tim. Thanks for being here, man. Coco is here. So if you guys need your virtual snacks, see Coco. She's got the pizza in the back. Good to see you, Coco. Hopefully you're doing all right today. Thanks for spending your Saturday here. Roarin Lion, what's going on? Hi, y'all. God bless. Good to be here. Well, thanks for being here, Roarin, or Lion, however you want to go. Good to see you. Thanks for spending your Saturday here. We got Joanna. What's going on with the bunny? I love the buddy picture. Hopefully you're doing all right, Joanna. Thanks for being here. Kathy is here as well. Good to see you, Kathy. Hopefully you guys are having a good Saturday, and hopefully you had a good week. And thanks for spending your Saturday night here. Everybody could be doing other things on Saturdays, but you guys are choosing to be here. So thank you for that. Kathy B as well. Good to see you, Kathy. We got all the Kathys here. Hopefully you're doing all right. To Kathy and Kathy, thanks for being here. We got Stephanie. What's going on, Stephanie? I know you've been trying for so long, so I'll go ahead and give it Uncle Klaus. Yes, I know you've been trying for a while to get me to say that. So there you go, Stephanie. Hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully that'll hold you over till the next time we have to talk about Mr. Uncle Klaus. We got Caterlyn as well. Caterlyn, she's got the cookies. So after you enjoy some virtual pizza, you can have some virtual cookies. So thanks for being here at Caterlyn and all the work that you do and all my tools. Thanks for being here. Jojo as well with the dog picture. Gotta love all the animal pictures. Trying to settle my dogs down so I can focus. Well, good luck with that, Jojo. It's a difficult task to settle down the rambunctious doggos. Good to see you, Jojo. We got Not of This World, yellow, red. What's oing? Not of This World. What's oing? I don't know what oing is, but apparently it's all good. So good to see you. Mindy is here with the big pink hand. Good to see you, Mindy. We got Vicky as well. Good to see you, Vicky. Hopefully you're doing all right. Mama Ro is here. I know Papa Ro is probably in the back, so good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Chessie is here as well. Good to see it with the doggo picture. Good to see you, Chessie. We got Derek as well. Good to see you. Let's see. We got Lynn. Lynn is here as well. Kelly is here as well. Bring it. I will bring it. Be careful what you ask for, right? Asset is good to see. Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. Thanks for being here. Joseph is here as well. Good to see you, Joseph. Do we have anybody else? We got Pinky as well. Derek is here. Steel Magnolia. What's going on at Mr. Tobes? Hopefully you're doing all right. Harpazzo, good to see you. Let's see. We got Shaddies as well. Good to see you, Shaddies. And can I find one more? We got Gwyneth. And we've got Maya. So good to see you. Thank you guys for being here. If I don't point you out, it's not that I don't like you. It's just we got plenty of things we got to get to. And so we're going to make sure that we go ahead and do that. And I don't know why I look so orange. I don't know. Do you guys see that? I look orange. I'm going to fix that real quick. It might go a little weird. Let me see here. Can I fix that? Nope, that is not going to be it. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I had some editing done on my stuff. There we go. I'm not as orange now. Okay. All right. Sorry. I know it's a little weird trying to fix that live, but that was going to bug me. I was looking super orange. That was weird. Okay. Now that we're done with that, let's go ahead. This is going to be an interesting one, guys. Let's go ahead and get into some housekeeping, shall we?
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
All right, so we're here for housekeeping, and yes. Apparently, I'm not orange. I'm oink. Oh my goodness, this show is already off the rails. Okay, let's get into some housekeeping, shall we? Okay, usual spiel. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about views, not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people, getting people to Jesus. Yeah, so with how the algorithm works and all that stuff, liking, sharing, and subscribing does help get it out to more people. And of course, our goal is not to be an echo chamber. Of course, I'm here to help fill you guys in on fellow believers on what's going on and stuff, but ultimately our goal is to reach the lost and get them the gospel of Jesus Christ. So liking, sharing, and subscribing does help do that. Also, if you guys can, follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram. We are, of course, multi-streaming, simulcasting, however you want to put it, to YouTube, Rumble, as well as the official WretchedWatchmen.com website. But make sure you guys follow me. Rumble, if I do get booted off YouTube, we'll be back up live streaming there. Odyssey is an emergency platform there just in case things go very, very, very south. But it's there just in case. So if you have an account, you might as well follow me there. And on Telegram, I post updates, announcements, news things, and anything in between. I will let you guys know what's going on there. Post links to stuff that I'm doing and things and stuffs and, you know, all that jazz. Yeah. So make sure you guys follow me there. Also, of course, we have the official WretchedWatchmen.com website. It is up and running. We are live streaming there now. And for some reason, if I'm not live streaming or I don't announce I'm taking a break or anything like that, and you don't see what's going on, make sure you guys head to the website. It's your one-stop shop for all your questions and anything going on. So if I'm not live streaming, I'll make sure I announce it on the website. So make sure you guys check that out. Okay. So we've got some stuff coming up. So we got some stuff. We got good stuff. We got some surprises. I didn't stop at Billy Crone. I've got some surprises and stuff going on and various things. I've been trying really hard to try and get some stuff for you guys the best that I can. I'm trying to make sure I can get everything going and do as much as I can, not only for the Lord, but for you guys as well. You guys are awesome. And so I want to do the best that I can for you along with the Lord, of course. Well, he tops you guys, but I love you guys too. So I got some surprises coming up. Some stuff I'm not ready to announce yet. We'll announce it. But one of the things that we got going on is tomorrow I'll be on Vindog Radio's live show. That is tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Monday. I don't know why I said tomorrow. I thought today was Sunday. No, on Monday I'll be with Vindog on his channel, Vindog Radio. That's at 6 p.m. Central. So make sure you guys go and check that out. I will make sure I post the link on my Telegram ahead of time so you guys know what's going on. And then on Tuesday is going to be a good one. I've got another guest coming on. We got the next couple Tuesdays. I've got some guests. I won't let you guys in on who yet. But on Tuesday, I'm all over the place on dates. Tuesday, same time, same place here. I will have none other than Lee Brainerd as a guest going on as well on Tuesday. So we're going to be going over the blessed hope, the rapture, pre-tribulation rapture, defending the pre-tribulation rapture, and debunking a lot of the same arguments, I guess, the same arguments that non-tribulation rapture people believe. Different things. I'm not going to spoil anything, but we'll be answering questions, including that whole Darby thing, because that's always the one that they throw. Well, in the 1800s, Darby, John Darby, he came up with that. Well, he didn't. And so Lee's going to go ahead and debunk a lot of that stuff. It's going to be a good one. So if you are struggling with the idea of, well, does the Bible really say pre-tribulation rapture? We're going to answer that. If you're somebody who doesn't believe in it flat out, well, we're going to go ahead and answer that as well. And so we're going to be going over that. So make sure you guys join me and Lee on Tuesday. It's going to be a good one. And then Vindog, of course, Monday over on his channel. And then, of course, again, I got some more guests and surprises and stuff coming up. Not going to announce it yet. I'll let you guys know when that time comes. But last but not least, if you guys want to support what I do here, I do have donation links down below. CashApp, Venmo, and GiveSendGo are the ways to donate if you choose to, if the Lord places it upon your hearts. You guys are the ones that allow me to do this. You guys are the ones that... I mean, you guys really, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So thank you for that. And if you guys want to allow me to keep doing what I'm doing, please donate if you so choose. All right. That's all I got for that. So we went through hellos. We fixed my orange or oing tint that I had going on. And we went through that, the housekeeping. Okay. This shows off the rails. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And yeah, what we're gonna do is we've got ourselves the natural events and stuff. We always start out with the natural events at least once a week, and so we're gonna go ahead and go over some of those with the Wretched Weather Report. Sweet. All right. So for the Wretched Weather Report, this is what we do: is we kind of keep track of the trends of what's going on when it comes to earthquakes and volcanoes. I'm not a geologist. I'm not a weather guy or anything like that, but I like to keep tabs on what's going on because natural events are a part of the birth pains, the end times birth pains that we're seeing right now, and they're going to increase in size and frequency. And so we just keep tabs of what's going on. Large scale earthquakes, 5.5 magnitude and up, as well as how many volcanoes are actively erupting. And then if like storms and weird stuff like that happens, I'll kind of fill in what I can, the best I can on that. So for this past week, when it comes to larger scale earthquakes, 5.5 and up, we had a 6.0 in west of Macquarie Islands, which is part of, which is New Zealand. Then there was a 6.0 in Akari, Peru. Then there was a 5.5 in Niafutanga, a 5.6 in Alata, Solomon Islands. Then there was a 5.5 in Baraka, Peru. There was a 5.8 in Hihifotanga. Then there's a 5.7 in the South Sandwich Islands. I'm still wondering what type of sandwich it is, but I haven't been told. But South Sandwich Islands, I hope it's a Reuben, just saying. Anyways, then there's a 5.5 in the Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So nothing extreme, nothing off the wall, kind of the usual of what we see as same areas and sizes and stuff like that. And then for volcanoes, we got 48 volcanoes that are actively erupting around the world right now. That's no change from last week, but we do have some changes on where they're at. So we have 8 erupting in North America. We have 7 erupting in South America. We got 3 in Europe, which is +1 from last week. 2 in Antarctica, 4 in Africa, 16 in Asia, which is down 2 from last week, and then 8 in Oceania, which is +1 from last week. So +2 -2 equals out to the same 48. So yeah, we don't do that Common Core math. 4 + 2 = shoe. Yeah, we don't do that stuff. Okay, so that's what we got with the Wretched Weather Report as far as volcanoes and earthquakes and whatnot. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this. Like I said, we got a lot to cover. Along the way, if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll kind of be stopping here and there and answering some questions along the way. Make sure you guys type question in all capitals so my moderator will see it. If you ask a question and it doesn't pop up in all capitals, that's probably why it didn't get answered. So make sure you guys do that. Along the way, Joseph Davis, 3 + 2 does not equal fish. I know you really want it to equal fish, but it doesn't equal fish. So I see that. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. And we're going to start with cleaning up what's going on with the petrodollar news that I was unfortunately fooled about, and I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and clean this up. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. So there was, if you guys aren't aware, there was a huge story going around where it broke about this 50-year petrodollar agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States ending. Saudi Arabia did not renew it, and that would be incorrect information, but it's not black and white. There's agreements between Saudi Arabia and the United States. There was some stuff when it comes to using the dollar for oil trades and bonds, but it's not some agreement like we were led to believe, or at least I was led to believe. So let's go ahead and get into this. And this is coming from a guy by the name of Paul Donovan over at UBS, and he posted some updates regarding this. And we can see it says Google Trends is reporting an astonishing spike in surges for petrodollar in the last 2 weeks to the highest on record. This is apparently because of a viral story that was on June 9th. Saudi Arabia failed to renew a secret 50-year deal with the U.S. to keep oil priced in dollars. So this was about basically all oil sales from Saudi Arabia has to be with the dollar, which is where the term petrodollar came from, or that's what we're told, or we were told during this ridiculous thing that somehow spiked across everywhere. And some very, very reliable sources, I use like Kitco all the time, even they were fooled by this, which is very surprising. So that's a big doozy. But let's see. It says the U.S. and Saudi Arabia did establish a joint commission for economic cooperation in June 1974, and that's what we were told was the petrodollar agreement. This aim was to help Saudi Arabia spend its sudden glut in dollars on U.S. products. In July of that year, Saudi agreed to invest oil dollars in U.S. treasuries. This was kept confidential until 2016. So that's really what's going on, was the investment in U.S. treasuries. Oil has always traded in non-dollar currencies. In January 2023, Saudi indicated it was happy to negotiate oil sales in other currencies. The possibility changes little for financial markets. Saudi Arabia's, I think this is supposed to be rival, little typo there. Rival remains pegged to the dollar or riyal. Sorry, I'm out of my mind. That's riyal. That's their currency to the dollar, and its stock of financial assets are dollar focused. Sorry, guys. The dollar's reserve status depends on how money is stored, not how transactions are denominated. So this story made it around where this was going to be the final like slam to the dollar being used globally right now, which is not the case. They have been taking it in other currencies, but we do know from news and information that we've seen, because Saudi Arabia does want to slowly start separating from the dollar, even though their own currency is connected to it. For oil trades, they want to increase their sales, and so they're going to be increasing the usage of other currencies, specifically the yuan, Chinese yuan, with that going on. So this was a big one that fooled a lot of people. We thought this was going to be like a big slam to the dollar, which this doesn't change their course for demolishing the dollar. They are on track, depending on how far along. We don't know exactly how far along we are when it comes to their track on trying to destroy the dollar, but we are on track for the dollar to be controlled demolition for what they got going on, even without this fake story that made through. Let's keep going with it, though. Over at Market Watch, it says reports of the petrodollar system demise are fake news. Fake news. You are fake news. Here's why. It says stories about the collapse of the long-standing petrodollar agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia spread like wildfire on social media, but the agreement never existed. It was more than social media. They keep saying social media, but it was even regular news places that were doing it. Seems like big news, and many wondered why the mainstream media has seemingly ignored it. Turns out there's very good reason. Earlier this week, reports circulating widely on social media platform. Again, other regular media was there. I think they're just trying to cover their own rear end on this. Offered up a shocking proclamation, a 50-year-old agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia acquiring that the latter price its crude oil exports in the U.S. dollar had expired on Sunday. The collapse of the accord would inevitably deal a fatal blow to the U.S. dollar status as the de facto global reserve currency. Various commentators on Twitter opined, financial upheaval lay ahead. Almost immediately, Google searches for the term petrodollar spiked to the highest level on record dating back to 2004. But as speculation about the imminent end of the U.S. dollar's global dominance intensified, several Wall Street and foreign policy experts emerged to point out a fatal flaw in the logic. The agreement itself never existed, at least not in the way it's being described in the posts that have gone viral on social media. Again, the way that it was described was the petrodollar agreement, which is going back to 1974, was about all oil sales between Saudi Arabia and whatever country had to be done with the U.S. dollar. That is false. The report it's talking about is this, and I went and read through it and found it and all that stuff. And it's the U.S. Saudi Arabian Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation. And it says the agreement referred to by Donovan, who is the guy who wrote this one from UBS, is the United States Saudi Arabian Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation. It was formally established on June 8th, 1974 by a joint statement issued and signed by, look who it is, Henry Kissinger, the U.S. Secretary of State at the time, and Prince Fahd, the second deputy prime minister and later king and prime minister of Saudi Arabia, according to the report found on the website. And you can see the front page of it right there on the right. It says the U.S. Saudi Arabian Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation, and highlights the United States Saudi Arabia Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation, established on the heels of the Arab oil embargo and price increases, fosters closer political ties between the two countries through economic cooperation, assists Saudi industrialization and development while recycling petrodollars. Again, they had a huge influx of petrodollars at this time, so they were looking for any way to basically push them into another financial gain aspect. So they started going into U.S. treasuries, and facilitates the flow of Saudi Arabia of American goods, services, and technology. The commission has a system of parallel command in which the United States Secretary of Treasury and the Saudi Minister of Finance and Economy serves as co-chairman and U.S. Assistant Secretary of Treasury for International Affairs and the Saudi Deputy of Finance Service coordinators. So that is the actual agreement that's going on. So the dollar demise is still in effect. We can rapidly see that happening around the world right now. So nothing is changing on that. However, the news about this petrodollar agreement being in fact part of that demise is false. That's what's going on with that. Now, if we keep going, it says, according to Donovan and others who emerged on social media to debunk there's everybody's favorite word, conspiracy theories. It's not really a conspiracy theory. It was just bad news. A formal agreement demanding that Saudi Arabia price its crude oils in dollars never existed. Rather, Saudi Arabia continued accepting other currencies, most notably the British pound for its oil, even after the 1974 agreement. But they, of course, stopped accepting the pound for oil. Later on, perhaps the closest thing to a petrodollar agreement was a secret agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, reached in 1974, which again we just looked at right there, which promised military aid and equipment in exchange for the kingdom investing billions of dollars of its oil sale proceeds in U.S. treasuries. The existence of this agreement wasn't revealed until 2016. And ultimately, the more important question is, does Saudi Arabia change the currency in which it holds its reserves, which at the moment is the majority dollar? Now, that's what we should be looking at, is are they going to change the holding of its majority reserves? That's a big one, because as we know, their money, the real, is tied to the U.S. dollar as well. We got one last one here. This is coming from Ledger Insights. Fake news: Saudi petrodollar deal with the U.S. ended this month. Says there's a fake petrodollar news story doing the rounds that Saudi Arabia and the U.S. had a 50-year contract in which Saudi agreed to settle all its oil sales in U.S. dollars. Supposedly, this is meant to foreshadow the end of the dollar dominance is good for cryptocurrency prices, except there's no such deal. And you will notice that when, if you go back and you watch that live stream where I talked about it, they were pushing the diversity of assets, which included things like Bitcoin. So that's that connection to the cryptocurrency. We'll debunk that in just a second too. So hang on. Says it's tricky to check something that doesn't exist. However, David Wright, an academic who wrote a book on the petrodollar, told us that the deal did not exist. He trolled through declassified records to write his book. Like all effective fake news stories, some aspects have slivers of truth. For example, Saudi Arabia has indeed joined Enbridge. That is real information. We got that straight from the BIZ's, or Bank for International Settlements website, so that is true. The cross-border central bank digital currency, and Enbridge does not plan to support dollar payments for now. Of course not, because Enbridge is built specifically for the coming CBDC that's coming. Okay, so we got CBDC and Enbridge. Then we've got what's going on as far as the cryptocurrency Bitcoin stuff. So part of the information that came from this had to do with diversity of assets. Is Saudi Arabia now, after this fake petrodollar agreement ended, now are they going to start taking Bitcoin? Well, that's going to be no. Part of the story that some people are reporting on, and this is kind of like we don't know exactly who started this misinformation thing with the petrodollar, but some people are saying that it was the cryptocurrency community that did it because they were trying to spike up their own gains from it. Well, first of all, that doesn't make any sense, because even with the fake news story, Saudi Arabia will still have to begin taking payments of Bitcoin for oil. That's not going to happen. So that doesn't make sense. The other thing to remember is the whole cryptocurrency scam, and it is a scam, and that includes Bitcoin, is the fact that this thing was created by government agencies in order to get people hooked onto the idea of digital currency, which now we're starting to shift into central bank digital currency. So there's a lot going on when it comes to information about the crypto people started it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Now, with Enbridge, and I'll pull this back up to take a look at it. It says fake news stories, some aspects, sliver of truth. For example, Saudi Arabia has indeed joined Enbridge. This is true. We looked at the official reports from Biz about Saudi Arabia joining. So that is true. Also, the other aspect of that, because I want to make sure I cover all my bases, the Rothschild news as well, with their connection to the Saudi government, as well as government contracts, opening up their own offices in Riyadh. And that's all true as well. That stuff is verified. It's confirmed. It is there. And so that's true. The only thing that was wrong was the petrodollar agreement, which there is an agreement there. It's just not the way that we thought it was. And it's not going to cause the damage we thought it was. But the dollar demise is still on track. So hopefully that answers the questions. Hopefully we're all aware of truly what's going on. Because that was a big piece of news that really was going to be very important in the long run, but ultimately is not what we thought it was. And again, I apologize for putting out bad information. I really try to make sure it's good stuff before I put it out. So please forgive me for that. All right, let's go ahead and move on after I just cleaned up that wonderful mess. Let's go ahead and move into what's going on with the official, I hate that term official, but official news regarding Russia and North Korea joining forces, which is no surprise. This should be no surprise. They've been in cahoots for a long time. They've been working together for a long time. And as we know, they are building the new Allies and Axis forces for the coming World War III. North Korea was always on team Russia. But this just makes things confirmed and more official. And this is another step, another piece of the risk board getting moved, or another piece on the risk board getting moved around. We've been seeing a lot when it comes to the preparation for the coming World War III. It is going to happen. When it's going to happen, I don't believe it's going to be while the church is still here, because that is going to be a earth-changing event, a whole entire world-changing event. And in Matthew 24, days of Noah, we're not going to be just going about our daily lives if World War III is just going ballistic all over the world. So I don't think we're going to see it, but that does not mean that we're not seeing pieces being moved around the board. And this is one of the steps that's doing it. So let's take a look. Says Putin's state visit. He just visited there to North Korea, which I got to say, I don't have it in here, but I got to say, Kim Jong-un gifted Putin a couple of really cool looking dogs, and that's just not cool, man. I want those dogs. I just had to say, I'm a dog guy, and he was gifted dogs, and I just think it's cool. So Putin's state visit to North Korea, warm welcome, bilateral agreements, and a new comprehensive partnership treaty. Moscow and Pyongyang have agreed to enhance cooperation in all spheres and defend each other from potential foreign aggression. Again, these guys were already on the same team. They already had an agreement in place beforehand, but this is just more of a firm, final military agreement between them. Says Russian President Vladimir Putin paid a state visit to Democratic People's Republic of Korea on Wednesday, where he met with the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, and participated in comprehensive bilateral talks on economic security and global issues. That includes the war stuff. The trip marked the first time that the Russian president had traveled to North Korea since the first taking office in 2000, when he visited Pyongyang to meet with then leader Kim Jong-il. Putin's delegation included Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, which he is, if you guys want to pay attention to what Russia is doing, pay attention to Lavrov. He's a big piece when it comes to this. Then you had their Russian defense minister, health minister, transport minister, and several other senior officials, including Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov and Putin's foreign policy aide Yuri Yushakov. That's not correct, but that's the best I got. Let's see, Yushakov, I guess. I don't know. Where's Olga? Olga, tell me how to pronounce that. Says comprehensive strategic partnership treaty. Following the bilateral negotiations, Putin and Kim signed a treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership designed to lay the groundwork for future bilateral relations in all spheres, including cultural and tourist ties, trade, economic relations, and security. This is a full-blown treaty. They had a friendship agreement in place before, and it was one that was in for several decades. This is more of a military and economic treaty now, official treaty. The agreement also includes a pledge by Russia and North Korea to assist each other in case of foreign aggression. Here we go. Pay attention to this, because this is for the upcoming World War III. To assist each other in case of foreign aggression, as both leaders decried attempts by the U.S. and its satellites to destabilize the situation in Southeast Asia. More battle lines getting drawn. Putin emphasized Pyongyang's right to take reasonable steps to ensure its security and protect its sovereignty, and vowed to engage in political and diplomatic efforts to prevent a new armed conflict on the Korean Peninsula. That doesn't mean in other places. He also doubts the indefinite restriction regime imposed on Pyongyang by the UN Security Council and urged it to be revised. Kim described the new agreement as peaceful and defensive, a defensive document that provides for maintaining peace and stability in the region. He added that the treaty promotes a common interest of Russia and North Korea, and expressed confidence that it would become a driving force in accelerating the creation of a new multipolar world. Following his visit, Putin formally invited Kim to make a return visit to Moscow at some point in the future. Okay, so I've got a couple of because I went through the agreement, read through all the different articles and stuff, and I picked a few articles of the agreement that I think will apply to the upcoming future stuff. So again, let's just talk about this real quick. We've really been talking about the war stuff lately, which we haven't done in a long time, but we're seeing moves going on. We understand World War III is going to happen. It's going to happen. This stuff has to happen in order. And I've talked about how it's tied to the financial stuff. So pay attention to both sides. I know some people just like to focus on financial. Some people like to just focus on the war, but these are both going hand in hand, because when World War III kicks off, it's definitely going to be a part of destroying, like finalizing the destruction of the global economy in order to bring in the new economy that they're wanting to do. These are going to go hand in hand, and this has a lot to do with territorial control, getting powers into structures that they need to, the economy that's coming, and there's some other aspects to what's going to happen as well. I had them in my head, and I just immediately forgot them as soon as I was going to tell them. But this is all part of what's coming, and population control. That's the other thing. controlling the numbers. That's going to be a part of this as well. This is why we continue to see so many countries out there all employing drafts and conscriptions and stuff. I talked about that 2 Saturdays ago. So if you want to know more about what's going on with all that stuff, make sure you head on back to that episode, and I'll fill you in. Past me will fill you in. But it's going to happen. I just don't believe, and I mean, I firmly believe that it's just not going to happen while we're here. Because again, that is a global, earth-shaking event that is going to happen that I just don't see us being here for when it happens. But we are seeing those pieces, the conscription stuff, the financial stuff, what's going on with Saudi Arabia, what we see in the Middle East right now. Preparations are being prepared for that as well. Understand, go back in history. Albert Pike talks about the 3 world wars. The third one is getting ready. It's getting set up exactly as they said it was going to happen. We see what's going on, and it's going to begin. I know a lot of people say it's going to start in the West. No, it's going to start in the Middle East, and then West will kick off after that, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that's, but that's how the Freemasons plan this to happen. So I'm just going based on that. But let's keep going with this agreement, and we'll see what else is going on. So let's take a look at the articles. Again, we could just read the news stuff, but they don't necessarily go into exactly what's going on. So I got a few articles here I want to point out. Article 3 of this greedy treaty between Russia and North Korea. This treaty, Article 3 says the parties shall cooperate with each other to ensure lasting regional and international peace and security. Everybody's favorite term that seems to always get applied falsely when it comes to prophecy. In the event of an immediate threat of an act of armed aggression against one of the parties, one of either Russia or North Korea, the parties themselves, at the request of one of the parties, shall immediately use bilateral channels for consultations in order to coordinate their positions and agree on possible practical measures to assist each other to help eliminate the emerging threat. So when one is threatened, if a party calls for help, then the other party shall help accordingly. Article 4, if one of the parties is subjected to an armed attack by any state or several states, if one of the parties of North Korea or Russia is subjected to an armed attack by any state or several states, NATO, and thus finds itself in a state of war, the other party will immediately provide military and other assistance with all means at its disposal in accordance with Article 51 of the UN Charter, in accordance with legislation of North Korea and the Russian Federation. So that means when stuff kicks off, the official ties, military ties, will kick in, and it will continue into World War III. Okay. It says Article 17, the parties will cooperate in the fight against international terrorism and other challenges and threats, including extremism, transnational organized crime, human trafficking, Ukraine, and hostage taking. Illegal migration, very interesting there. Illicit financial flows, legalization or laundering of proceeds from crime, terrorist financing, and financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. We see a lot of movement when it comes to that stuff. Illegal actions that pose a threat to the safety of civil aviation and maritime navigation. Illegal trafficking of goods, funds, and monetary instruments, as well as illegal trafficking of narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances, and their precursors, weapons, cultural, and historical values. They go through a giant list of things that can basically open up a window for war to begin. Weapons and drugs and immigration. We see what's going on with that and all this type of stuff. Ukraine, half of that list is Ukraine, ultimately. So that's important to understand. So they're basically giving themselves a door to kick this thing off in any way that they see fit, according to this agreement. Article 23, this agreement is valid for an indefinite period of time, so it just goes. There's no end. So That's key as well. Their timeline is whenever they see fit, according to the table or the shadow government. If one of the parties intends to terminate this agreement, it must notify the other party in writing. This agreement is terminated 1 year from the date of receipt of written notice by the other party. It was signed June 19th, 2024 in North Korea. Both have copies in their own native language. And of course, signed by Kim Jong-un as well as Vladimir Putin. So I just wanted to give some details on that. Unfortunately, I'm still seeing a lot of like fear-mongering clickbait news regarding the war that's supposedly going to happen yesterday or the day before or a year ago, and it still hasn't happened. It's about to blow up anytime, right? We just need to continue to have level heads. That's something that's important. It's something that I've learned over the years that I've been doing this as well. Because you go back a couple years, you can't find those episodes anymore. But if you go back a few years ago, when I was reporting on stuff with the war stuff, I was one of those people. I'm like, it could happen tomorrow, and I've learned since then. Since then, I've grown. I've done study, and I've used my head, common sense, and logic on making sure this stuff goes together with how they usually do this stuff. You go through history, and there's, again, financial ties and military ties all connected all throughout history. Again, I'm one of those people that talks about when it comes to wars that we've seen, and yes, that includes things like World War II, World War I, and all the other ones as well. They were all orchestrated in some type of way for some type of land, money, power, any type of those things. It needed a shift, a financial shift, power shift, however it wants to do, in order to set up the risk board how the cabal fits, or how cabal sees fit. And this is another situation where they're getting ready with World War III. And we know when we study scripture that Revelation tells us that Antichrist beast system is going to come in. And in order for that system to take place, or to get plugged in, to get turned on, everything has to be removed that's already there. And that includes economy, that includes governance, and that includes religion. And so you're going to need something big to do that. And they are planning that, which is why they're just not ready yet. They're not ready yet. And we can see that when we look at the scripture, or not the scripture, but the news coming out right now. They're still moving pieces around that need to be in place and working before things happen. And this was one of them. And so we just saw it happen in front of us, which means another step closer to getting off of this rock. I'm ready to get off this rock. That's for sure. So, okay, let's see here. I see no questions. Wow. All right, no questions then. We'll just go ahead and keep on moving forward, shall we? Okay, so we talked about what's going on with the petrodollar stuff. We talked about what's going on with the alliance, Russia and North Korea. Let's go ahead and move into what's going on with the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and the latest paper that they put out. So coming from the WEF, they released the paper on June 6th stating ESG can be used to evaluate misinformation and hate speech and associates them with human rights abuse. Thus, anybody involved must be silenced. So they're weaponizing ESG even more than they were before, and they're using it to control companies, specifically digital companies, for this this paper that they released, in order to silence people that they don't want opening their mouths online. And they're doing it so much so that they're actually comparing human abuse, human rights abuse, such as child stuff. I can't really speak on some of this stuff on YouTube, but child stuff, inappropriate child stuff. They're even ranking that as the same as hate speech and misinformation. And they're saying, since all of those are just equally as bad, we have to silence those who are doing it. And we're going to use ESG on the digital companies in order to do so. And again, as I said in the beginning, ESG is not dead. It's definitely not making news waves like it was before. DEI is, but ESG isn't. But it's not dead. It never died. They just shifted it into a different direction, and now they're doing it without people even realizing what's going on. So let's take a look at this paper, and we can see it here. It says, making a difference, how to measure digital safety effectively to reduce risks online. This dropped the 6th of June. So a couple things in the paper. It says, in an increasingly interconnected world, it is essential to measure digital safety in order to understand risks, allocate resources, and demonstrate compliance with regulations. However, the task of measurement is fraught. Gotta love all those weird words like that. It's fraught. It's fraught with challenges, including ever-evolving technologies, which they're the ones that are actually pushing through, the need for flexible yet consistent metrics, and the balancing of privacy concerns with transparency, which they don't give a rip about any of that. These dynamics, combined with the fact that the context and nature of harms varies significantly across platforms and types of services, have resulted in an absence of comparable and agreed metrics. Moreover, with the new regulatory requirements emerging, measuring digital safety helps organizations demonstrate compliance and assess the effectiveness of interventions for improving safety outcomes by, for example, reducing risks or increasing user empowerment. Additionally, showcasing strong safety measures promotes trusts among users, customers, and partners, demonstrating a commitment to protecting online users while also minimizing the risk of harm to non-users or the public caused by misused platforms. If you guys think that that is a giant jumbled word soup right there, try reading the whole paper. It's like 22 pages. And those were just very small snippets of it. I'll tell you what, these things are not fun to read when you're just trying to find a couple of things. But ultimately, it's setting it up for the point of, in order to establish a digital online sphere for businesses, governments, and customers alike, they have to lay out the groundwork for a new governance rule base for everybody on there. And they want to do it with privacy and transparency at the forefront. No, they don't. They just put that there to make people feel better. Let's go ahead and get into the big part of this, though. It says the measurement of digital safety is constantly evolving. Digital safety, it's all about, and I've talked about this before, anything that comes out with digital stuff, everything that they try to push when it comes to digitalization has to do with convenience and safety. They're always trying to push that, but yet it still continues to fool everybody in the world. It's all about, it's for my safety. As we move to this more convenient platform, well, I got to be able to protect it. Well, they're offering me stuff for it. And it's just one of those things. I wish I need to keep that little cartoon on hand where it shows everybody in the crowd walking off the cliff. There's one person standing there going, guys, there's danger ahead. Turn around. And the person says, conspiracy theorist. And everybody's just walking off the thing. This is what's going on in the world right now. It's just we have lost all common sense. All logic is just gone. And they've done a great job at dumbing down society as well as making us lazy. And so they continue to offer more convenient stuff to make us even more lazy. And so coming along with that is more safety stuff, which just basically means more lockdown on us and our information of what's going on. And it fits right along with everybody's favorite term that the WEF put out. It says you will own nothing and be happy. Well, we've talked about in prior episodes that owning nothing truly means not even owning your thoughts, not even owning your cells and your DNA, not owning any of that. But this is the case of not owning your privacy or your money or even what you say online. They want full control of all that as well. So constantly evolving, shaped by technological advances and regulatory interventions. Technological progress has enabled the development of sophisticated algorithms capable of detecting and mitigating various forms of online harm. And they put these all in the same category, such as child material, inappropriate child material, hate speech, and disinformation. Now, in my world, and again, I live in my own little world, but in my world, those aren't even remotely the same thing. In no way, shape, or form are these even remotely the same thing. But according to them, they are. And so by bunching them together, in order to stop the child stuff, well, to give the illusion of stopping the child stuff, because these are the same people that are using the child stuff. But in order to give the illusion of stopping the child stuff and to gain support, people are just going to go, yes, I'm in agreement with that. And then so the disinformation and hate speech stuff goes along with it. It's like when we see the bills in Congress where it's one page of what the bill is actually about and then 500 pages of other stuff that they're just trying to sneak through with it. It says, however, this progress also presents challenges. Malicious actors continuously adapt their tactics to evade detection and weaponize new technologies to perpetrate harms, such as with generative AI, emphasizing the need for ongoing innovation and online safety measures. Again, this is part of the Hegelian dialectic about moving the spectrum, moving society into the direction that they want to go. Part of it is we see packaging stuff together, something that's really bad that people definitely want to put a stop to, along with other stuff. So they'll just go, okay, pass it on through because we need to get this bad thing taken care of, and all the other stuff goes with it. That's part of it. Then there's the problem, reaction, solution. Well, because generative AI is causing this stuff, we need to be able to lock down what's going on. But the problem is the people who want to lock down what's going on are the same people who created AI and are unleashing it upon the world. So they created the problem. They're giving you the solution. And here we go. So those are two elements of the Hegelian dialectic in play with just this one paper that we're reading right now. It's crazy, isn't it? All right, last part of this. Again, I'm not going to make you read the whole 22-page thing. It says, when evaluating online safety, mature frameworks such as those used in cybersecurity, environmental, social, and governance, there's the ESG, and the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights metrics can provide valuable guidance on defining and measuring effectiveness. Sorry, something in my throat. ESG metrics present another valuable perspective for evaluating online safety. Within ESG investing, companies are assessed based on their environmental impact, social responsibility, and corporate governance practices. Everybody, I'm sure, kind of has a general idea of what ESG is, but ultimately what it is in order to receive investments from investment companies, so receive funding from investment companies to keep these big corporations moving forward, they have to play along with ESG guidelines. And the lower ESG score you have, the more funding is going to get pulled from your company. So if you don't follow along with the ESG stuff, then basically your company is going to collapse because you're not playing ball and you're not getting funding from these people. So they develop it where if you want to be a big corp and you want to have lots of money and you want to do business with this new system that they're creating, you have to follow ESG guidelines. And so ultimately that's what they're trying to describe here. So if you don't know what ESG is, that's basically what it is in a nutshell. It says online platforms. Hold on. Here we go. Similarly, online platforms could be evaluated based on their efforts to promote a safe and inclusive online environment and the transparency of content moderation policies. Online platforms can also be evaluated based on their processes, tools, and rules designed to promote the safe use of their services in a manner that mitigates harm to vulnerable non-user groups. So basically what they're going with here is now we're putting those same ESG scoring policies that are part of companies that actually like produce stuff out in the world, but we're going to apply those to online only companies. Things anywhere that has content for like social media content or news sites that allow you to comment on news and stuff like that. Now they're applying it to there that if you don't follow these guidelines, we may have to take you down because we see that there's harm, whether it's hate speech, misinformation, or of course the child stuff, then we're going to take you down. So even online companies are now starting to have to play the ESG game. In cybersecurity, metrics often center on key performance indicators related to threat detection, threat prevention, incident response times, and system resilience. Similarly, within online safety, metrics could encompass measures such as platform responsiveness to reports of harmful content, the efficacy of content moderation, algorithms in identifying and removing the toxic stuff, and illegal material. That's like what the Valley Girls Say the toxic stuff. Sorry. Removing toxic and illegal materials and the speed of addressing security vulnerabilities that could compromise user safety. So ultimately what they're saying is ESG is now going to be rating them based on how fast they take down inappropriate stuff that they claim is inappropriate, and the response time for it. And so what they're trying to do with this is they're trying to speed up the response. So we understand that there is censorship going on, removal of information. We're on a platform that does that, but it's all over the place. That if you post anything like that, they remove it. But the thing is like the last strike that I got on here was from a video that I posted almost 2 years ago. And it took them that long to take it down because according to them, it was bad information, medical misinformation. What they want to do is that would be a terrible ESG score. Now, with this, is basically they're saying, we need you to do it much quicker than you're doing it. Otherwise, you're going to get a bad ESG score. So this is about speeding up the censorship. This isn't about censorship itself, which there's a lot of stuff coming out about that. We're always aware of that. This is about increasing the speed at which they respond and silence people accordingly. And I think that's all we did on this. Yes. So this is ultimately about speeding up that, and they're using ESG to do it. They're using ESG to come after censorship, to impose censorship and come after things that they deem as hate speech, because that's not very inclusive. Hate speech as well as misinformation, whatever they deem as misinformation. And of course, we see what's going on with the WHO stuff, and what they're trying to do when it comes to online medical misinformation. We see that's part of their international health regulations that we just talked about. And we see what they're trying to do when it comes to the UN cybercrime treaty that we just talked about, that which they have that vote coming up in August. That's also about the same thing as well. So when you have that stuff coming in play, and then they're saying everything needs to speed up and we're going to use ESG for online companies to make sure that censorship is faster than it was before, we've got a tidal wave of censorship coming down the pike for us. And of course, if we take this from the digital sphere of ESG and go back to like what it first started as, the case for ESG folds into the coming carbon tax, which we haven't talked about in a while, but it's still in the works. Don't lose track. The coming carbon tax, which is now being heralded as the answer to pay for UBI, or Universal Basic Income, which is you get paid to not work. As well as increase, and they're claiming that it will increase global GDP. I'd love to see that one. Okay, let's take a look at this. So this is coming from Business Insider, and I took a look at the actual report. I'm not. It's just a wall of text, so I wasn't going to try and put it on here for you guys. But it's coming from 50 Cell, which is a research and study website built for stuff like this. But I read through that. We're just going to look at the Business Insider thing, and then I can kind of give you guys what I saw when I read through that thing. It says a global universal basic income, or UBI, could turbocharge global GDP. Study finds. Study found that implementing global universal basic income could boost GDP by 130%. Okay, so right off the bat, we're seeing that this is a giant promotion for UBI. We know that this is going to be part of it. We know that the UBI has to be some part of this coming beast system that's being implemented. We see the rise of AI. We see the decline in jobs. A lot of people are saying, how are they going to pay all this money to all these people? Well, again, World War III is going to answer part of that when it comes to reducing the numbers. And we're seeing all these different elements that are starting to go in the direction of a UBI. And we've had talking heads talk about how a UBI is going to happen, going to have to happen. We've seen the finance minister from Saudi Arabia say UBI is going to happen. We've seen Elon Musk, who's helped developing this AI stuff. He's saying it's going to happen. We see Sam Altman, who's also helping develop the AI stuff, as well as WorldCoin and other things. He says it's going to happen. Klaus Schwab, Uncle Klaus, has also said that it's going to happen, and other people as well. And those are just ones off the top of my head. All these people have said UBI is going to happen. It's going to have to happen. And I believe them on that. And we're seeing evidence that is showing that it's going to happen. So to promote this thing that they want to do, which they tested in 2020 when everybody was locked down at home and all these countries were out there giving stimulus checks, or I call it helicopter money. That was a test for UBI, whether people recognize that or not. And it was. And so this is their promotion case for it. And it says funding a global UBI with a carbon tax would also promote sustainability, the study's author says. So we're seeing the carbon tax and carbon credits being folded into the UBI system now. And so something that I've talked about when it comes to watching these systems isn't necessarily that this is going to be the thing that happens. So what I mean by that is when we saw the unicoin come out, we were looking at that and going, is that the coin? When we need to view it in the way of they are just preparing the way for the thing when it comes. This may not be it, but this could be the precursor for it. And that'll get folded into something else. And so what we see going on here is the carbon tax, and anything that follows carbon tax is carbon credit system. So they're one and the same, is now being folded into UBI. So that's important to understand is sometimes when we see these systems come into play, that may not be the system, even though it may look like it or appear to, but it could be folded into or could be a precursor to something that we know is going to come down later. And this is what we're seeing here with the carbon tax, carbon credit system being folded into UBI. Says basic income programs gain traction post-pandemic to address high unemployment. Hey, almost like they were planning a test of some type, right? Yeah. Researchers behind the newly published study called Utilizing Basic Income to Create a Sustainable Poverty-Free Tomorrow outlined how universal basic income could provide a two-pronged solution to both environmental sustainability, because it's all about climate change. It's all about climate change. What is it? We were supposed to be in an ice age, 10 years ago by now? Thanks, Al Gore. Solution to both environmental sustainability and social resilience that could grow the global GDP from 39% up to 130%. Okay, right. I think they're talking about the pockets of the rich could grow 130%. Basic income pilots gained popularity over the COOF stuff, which caused record high unemployment, nearly 15% in the United States in early 2020. Yep, they were testing it. It goes on to say, I must concede that the U.S. may be in last place to engage with our proposal for all sorts of reasons, but the situation may not persist forever, as there are indications that Gen Z and millennials seem to care relatively more about tackling both climate change, we're all going to die, and inequality than older Americans. All you old people are just causing problems. That's basically what they're saying. Basic income pilots in America have met with opposition from conservative lawmakers. One representative in Iowa, which moved to ban such programs, called it socialism on steroids. I call it neo-feudalistic technocracy. That's what they're trying to build. I know people are still saying communism and socialism. It's going to be much worse than that. It's going to be kings and peasants, and they're going to use technology to rule over the peasants. And that is what is coming. And when we have the digital UBI system in place, that's what's ultimately going to be happening. In other parts of the world, however, the idea enjoys wide political support. South Africa is on track to be the first country to adopt the universal basic income, but all other countries have been testing this same thing. Now, I want to point something out on this. Says, I must concede that the U.S. may be the last place to engage with our proposal for all sorts of reasons. I can give you one reason why, because the United States is the final plug that needs to be pulled, and they're not ready to pull the plug yet. We've talked about this when we went over the financial stuff a couple weeks ago, that the economy should have just already multiple times, but it hasn't, because they're keeping it afloat. They are still pumping air into that balloon. They got Band-Aids all over it because the balloon is about ready to pop. They're just not ready to do it yet. They're getting it bigger. The bigger it is, the more it's going to blow up. And again, the financial and the war stuff is all interconnected. So if the war is not ready yet, that means the financial stuff's not ready yet. If the financial stuff's not ready yet, the war stuff's not ready yet. And so that's the U.S. is the key. They're the ones that is holding everything back right now. and they're not ready to pull the plug. So that's why we don't see this stuff implemented yet. It says Somalia or Somalia, that person who was I quoted earlier, and the study's other co-authors focused on funding this global UBI plan through a carbon tax because of the global push to reduce carbon emissions, the climate change, to reach sustainability goals. There's the UN creeping in. The study says they found that a carbon tax could generate trillions. Really? Okay. Trillions annually. Almost like they're referencing the man who's going to have trillions at his disposal, right? Depending on the scale of the flat tax. In theory, it is a beautiful idea to use basic income, UBI, to help people sustain nature and boost the economy. It also seems possible to raise a big chunk of the funds needed to do this by taxing CO2 emitters. That's us. They don't say it. They don't say it. But we are the CO2 emitters. We are the carbon that they want to reduce. That's where the carbon credit system comes into play. We'll talk about that in just a second. By taxing CO2 emitters, degraders of biodiversity, overfishers, deforesters, plastic polluters, oil spillers, and the agricultural section, told Business Insider. Yes, they don't say it. A lot of people read that as just the companies or the corporations, but it's us. They have been testing carbon credit systems for a very long time. Even go back a year ago, and I showed a picture of a menu from Ireland where they had a test for the carbon credit system where it showed the dollar amount as well as the CO2 credit amount next to it. And they were testing the stuff. Not to mention, we've seen things like it's not out, or it seems to be restricted and is being bundled up into something else. But I was talking about the Economy card, which was a carbon credit card. And once you reach a certain carbon limit, the card shuts off and you can't spend any more money. And this stuff, it comes with a carbon tracker and everything. Plus, we've seen stuff in WEF panels and whatnot that they've talked about where all this stuff is coming with a carbon credit tracker and how everybody is going to have one to track their carbon footprint. And we've seen all this stuff when it comes to this. So when they're talking about those who emit CO2 and they need to put a hold on them, that's us. And so the carbon tax comes along with the carbon credit system. And now we're seeing that they're trying to take that and put it into, bundle it up with the UBI system as well, which is something that I've talked about a lot. The UBI system is going to be a 2-level system. You're going to have your digital money and you're going to have your carbon credits, and they're going to work in tandem. So you can have a whole bunch of digital money, but if you don't have any carbon credits, you can't buy anything. You can't spend it on anything. So that's something to keep in mind. But they've got some stuff to play with that as well when it comes to the rich. But we'll get there in just a second. Now, keep in mind with this, back in January during the Davos WEF Summit, a panel of the president of Singapore, the director general of the World Trade Organization, the minister of finance from Saudi Arabia, the editor at large of Bloomberg TV, co-founder and co-chairman of the Carlyle Group, president of the European Central Bank, that's Lagarde there, and then the federal minister of finance of Germany. All of those people were on a WEF panel back in January and explained that the framework for a global carbon tax is already created. It's done. It's ready to be implemented. They've got it done. It's ready to go. All the countries involved have already agreed to all of the rules. All that needs to be done is for the right time, they will implement it and ratify the agreement. It's done. It's ready to go. And they told us, why haven't they implemented it yet? Because they're not ready. That system is not ready to go out yet. And so they've been testing the carbon credit system for us as well, where there's going to be allotments of monthly carbon usage that will determine what we can purchase. And again, I've gone over this stuff in the past when it comes to the economy card and the menus and everything like that. Things like gas, like fuel, as well as red meat, and all that stuff is high carbon. And so you're going to have to pay a lot of carbon credits in order to pay for that stuff. So that's going to be for the rich. Things like public transportation, lab grown food or sustainable food, and anything like that. High end material is going to be for higher carbon credits, and then low end material is going to be for lower stuff. But public transportation and stuff, that's all going to be lower on the carbon things. So that's for us peasants to use. So those with all the carbon credits will be able to eat and live, happily. And everybody else is just going to have to be going for dregs. And of course, coming with it is the ability to sell carbon credits, which will allow the rich to line up and purchase everybody's carbon credits so they can live their perfect lives while everybody else barely makes it. So again, this could be a situation where UBI gives you so little digital currency that you can sell carbon credits to the rich for more digital currency. But if you don't have enough carbon credits, then you can't buy anything anyways. You see how this becomes a serious problem where the peasants are just going to be, out of luck while the rich are living lavishly? That's ultimately what they're trying to do with this system. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. Let's see here. Just a couple questions. Let's see. Maya says, husband and I were wondering, what is that in the green lighting? Is that a cartoon pew pew, or is that real lighting? No, that's real. That is my real AK-47 back there. Isn't she beautiful? I love her. I call her Sasha. Yeah. Yes, it is real. Yeah. So, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. We just got a couple more things. And I know we're running out of time, but hang with me, guys. A couple more things. Okay. So when it comes to the one world economy, which we know is going to happen, Revelation talks about it. One world economy is coming. That's going to be connected to the mark of the beast in some type of way where you're going to need that in order to buy and sell, participate in society. But this one world economy is coming, and all countries and governments will go along with it. So we know that's coming. And we see the tides going in the direction, of course, the UBI system we just talked about, which that's going to be in tandem with the digital system of digital ID, digital wallet, and digital currency. Now, coming along with it, to tie in the digital system with the UBI system, the NIST, or National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is a part of the Federal Commerce branch of the U.S. government, has been working with Georgetown University. If you guys don't know about Georgetown University, they are a proud, and I mean proud, they make sure everybody knows it, is a Jesuit school. So the NIST has been working with Georgetown Jesuit College to establish a passkey authentication within digital IDs in order to receive public benefits. UBI would be a public benefit. Yes. So let's take a look. It says NIST issues guidance to fit passkeys into digital identity recommendations. And you can see the paper right there. We're not going to go over the entire paper because, again, I don't want to bore you guys to death. So we'll just go ahead and switch on over to this one. These are both coming from Biometric Update, NIST Georgetown, which is the Jesuit school, and CDT to enhance digital identity guidelines for public benefits. The U.S. Department of Commerce National Institute of Standards and Technology is tailoring its digital identity guidelines to better support public benefit programs. These programs assist beneficiaries with essential needs such as food, housing, and medical expenses. If you guys want to be dependent upon the U.S. government, then you're going to need to start moving in line with the digital identity guidelines. Oh, yeah. They plan this out perfectly. Make everybody dependent upon the government and then force digital onto them in order to get everybody to switch over. It's evil, but it's a perfect plan. Project is collaboration between the NIST, Georgetown University's Beek Center, one of those, for Social Impact and Innovation, and the Center for Democracy and Technology. Under Secretary of Commerce for Standard and Technology and NIST Director Lori E. Lacasio emphasized the importance of balancing access and security in benefits delivery. See? Security again. If you guys want these public benefits, if you guys want to be able to live dependent upon the U.S. government, well, you're going to have to do it more securely. It's for your safety, of course. She noted that different populations faced varied needs and barriers, with the collaboration aims to address by bringing together diverse communities. It's all about diversity. Says Lynn Oberman, Executive Director of the Beek Center, highlights the goal of developing human-centered solutions to improve government services, particularly for vulnerable populations. She expresses pride in partnering with the NIST and CDT to enhance security, privacy, and equity. Everybody's favorite words. The goal is to create voluntary resources for public sector organizations, including profile NIST digital identity guidelines, which we just looked at the front page of that paper, to help evaluate authentication and identity proofing practices for specific benefits. Givens, president and CEO of CDT, stresses the need for carefully developed identity management solutions focused on equity, privacy, and security. Everybody's favorite words again. They just love throwing that stuff out there. She emphasized that people should access public benefits without technical barriers or privacy compromises, and trust that the system will function fairly and securely. Question. This is talking about more advanced public benefit situation. For anybody, and I know I've got a few people watching, for anybody who lives off of Social Security, you bought into that system, and now you're pulling your money back out for this. Have they made it easy for you at all? Because I have just heard nothing but horror stories when it comes to people trying. They're not getting what they're supposed to. They're sending too little. I've even seen times when they're sending too much. They can't get anybody on the phone. There's always problems with stuff. Cards not working, food stamp cards not working, all this stuff not working and everything. And now they're talking about bringing in a more advanced situation or more advanced system. And they're saying that it's going to be easier for people. You guys can't even get the basic stuff right. How are you going to do this? Just throwing it out there. But don't worry, it's for equity, privacy, and security, right? Last year, researchers in the United States examined the way in which authentication and identity proofing is used in the U.S. to give access to public benefits. In a growing call for accountability, governments and policymakers are urging AI developers and users in both consumer and public sectors to proactively identify and mitigate bias and discrimination in AI systems, according to recent report. Bias and discrimination. You know how they get AI to do that? They get a lot more people to sign up and be connected to AI, and they continue to push their biometric data forward. Yeah. Isn't it great? So basically, what this is they are now setting up and preparing to get people to basically, if you are dependent upon the government, you will be forced to go digital in order to receive your benefits. They're working on that. So they've got programs where people volunteer for it. They've got programs where people who are dependent upon this stuff are going to be forced over to it. And once they get those two groups in, all that's going to follow suit is forcing everybody else to join in on this. And so this is that coming digital ID that has to come first before the issuance of digital currency. You've got to have a digital ID and a digital wallet in order to receive digital currency. And so they've got to get this stuff going first. And they are working on doing that. So through volunteer programs, once they have enough signed on, the rollover into launch mandate will begin. And this is why we've seen the influx of digital policy and governance as they progress forward. The lockdown of the virtual world is already beginning before we've even entered into it. Programmable currencies, biometric IDs, virtual identifiers, all this stuff is already basically being pushed forward. And yeah, they're working on policy in order to wrangle all that in. We talked about the ESG stuff. We've talked about stuff like the UN Cybercrime Treaty, and as well as what's going on with the WHO censorship and everything. And so they're working on it. But with all of that, where will you live? If you can't have enough if you don't have enough UBI to afford to rent a place, where are you going to live? Don't worry. Amazon's been working on that. Amazon adds 1.4 billion with a B to the Housing Equity Fund to create and preserve an additional 14,000 affordable homes. Funding brings Amazon's investment to more than 3.6 billion with a B to create and preserve over 35,000 affordable homes across the Puget, Kim Bassinger, I don't know, Puget Sound region, the Arlington, VA region, and Nashville, Tennessee. This is straight from the Amazon website announcement. In January of 2021, Amazon launched the $2 billion with a B Housing Equity Fund with the goal of creating and preserving 20,000 affordable homes across 3 of its hometown communities: Washington State, Arlington, Virginia, and Nashville, Tennessee. Within 5 years, the fund is designed to help moderate to low-income residents access quality affordable housing. And we're pleased to announce that we've exceeded our original goal 2 years early by providing $2.2 billion with a B to create and preserve more than 21,000 affordable homes. We're now extending our commitment with an additional 1.4 in funding to create and preserve an additional 14,000 homes in these communities, bringing the total to more than 3.6 billion to fund more than 35,000 affordable homes across these 3 regions. The extension of the Housing Equity Fund underscores our commitment to affordable housing and to helping thousands of families live closer to where they work or near transportation hubs or your 15-minute digital city. Sorry, I threw that in there. Removing a major barrier to success. So we're getting to the point where we're seeing these companies start to flood into the housing stuff. Now, we've seen this for a while where we have major companies that are just buying up all the real estate and whatnot. One of the big ones is Blackstone. Blackstone, yes, I'm saying Blackstone. That's different than BlackRock. Blackstone has been a major player in buying up. I mean, they will buy up cul-de-sacs all at once. They get people to get out, they buy up the entire cul-de-sac, and then they rent them out accordingly. They've been very active in this type of stuff. There's other companies that are out there doing it. But ultimately, what I'm seeing here is we see those companies go in and buy the realty. They buy the real estate. And then companies like Amazon are coming in to do the actual construction and or refurbishment of the stuff. And so what they don't put in this announcement, unless you dig through the link at the very end of the announcement, is they're not actually building new homes. What they're doing is they're refurbishing apartments and calling them homes. And then they're dishing it out. This is part of their movement where they want everybody stacked in on top of each other. Take a look at places like China. They've just got stackable homes, and Amazon this is something that they've been working on, because you can buy small tiny homes on Amazon for about $20,000, and they've been selling those for a while. Reduce the economy, get everybody to move into smaller places like apartments that are owned by places like Blackstone and Amazon. It's a great way to make sure that wonderful thing of you will own nothing and be happy as part of it. And so they want to cram everybody together into this. And then, well, what are we supposed to do? We can't go out and do things. Live in your virtual world, you peasant. That's what they want to do. And so that's something that Amazon's been doing. But that's not all Amazon has been doing. To finish this off for the night, says Big Brother. This is coming from, I forgot what the website was. Oh man, I use it all the time too, and I forgot what it was. Reclaim the Net. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, Reclaim the Net. It says Big Brother on board. UK train stations use Amazon-powered AI to read people's mood. If you've been around my channel, reading emotions and stuff should not surprise you. I've talked about how they've been working on this for a long time, but this is a public test that they've been doing, and they hid it from people. In the UK, series of AI trials involving thousands of train passengers who were unwittingly subjected to emotion detecting software raises profound privacy concerns. The technology, developed by Amazon and employed at various major train stations, including London's Euston and Waterloo, as well as Manchester Piccadilly, used artificial intelligence to scan faces and assess emotional states along with age and gender. But hold on. How dare you assume their gender? How dare you? That's not very inclusive. That is offensive. God, how dare you? That's just, you can't do that. You can't do it. Oh, that's right. It's AI. They're not straight white males. If it was straight white males, then they'd have a problem with that. Yeah, sorry. So, sorry, I just had to. Yeah. So used artificial intelligence to scan faces and assess emotional states along with age and gender. That's racist. Documents obtained by civil liberties group Big Brother Watch through a Freedom of Information request unveiled these practices, which might soon influence advertising strategies. Now, they keep it on the down, on a very downward level. Obviously, the website with advertising strategies, there's a lot more to this. We'll talk about that in just a second. Over the last 2 years, these trials managed by Network Rail implemented smart CCTV technology and older cameras linked to cloud-based systems to monitor a range of activities. You know, all those server farms that they're trying to build everywhere? This is part of it. These included detecting trespassing on train tracks, managing crowd sizes on platform, and identifying antisocial behavior such as shouting or smoking. The trials even monitored potential bike theft and other safety-related incidents. It's not like the police would do anything about it anyways. It is alarming that, that as a public body, it decided to roll out a large-scale trial of Amazon-made AI surveillance in several stations with no public awareness, especially when Network Rail mixed safety tech in with the pseudo-scientific tools and suggested the data could be given to advertisers. Again, they're sticking with the advertiser thing, but there's a lot more to this. So we could see here how all these CCTVs and stuff are connected to this AI system. These server farms, the AI is just getting bigger and bigger. It's storing all of your information, all of this information that they're taking. And AI, it's basically a giant brain across the entire world that the AI system can just navigate around at all times in order to, it's like filing cabinets for us. They store all this information and then AI can go through it all accordingly. Now, they're talking about advertisers. That's not really the big thing here. We've talked about what they've been doing with AI and trying to own people's thoughts, dreams, memories, like just instantaneous thoughts, things that pop in our head that we don't necessarily tell ourselves to think about. They just pop up. They've been training AI to do this type of stuff. So one of the things that I find fascinating is they're using AI here with the CCTV system in the UK to determine the emotions and the moods of passengers on the tracks and the trains. Well, something that we've talked about before is one of the BCI companies, or brain computer interface companies, Synchron, who's one of the companies who's ahead of Neuralink, has talked about, the CEO has talked about how they want their chips to be able to receive and throw emotions. And what that means is, rather than, okay, say you have two people with Synchron trip. I can speak, I promise. Say you have two people with Synchron chips, there we go, gold star for me, in their heads. Rather than saying, hey, how are you feeling? And the person has to try to describe how they're feeling, the CEO said that that person will be able to throw their emotion to the other person who has the chip in, and that person will actually feel the exact same emotion that the other person is doing. That's what they're aiming to do. Now, in order to get that technology right, in order to get it to work, just like how AI needs to feed off of people's words and pictures and videos to develop that side of its ability, they need emotion and mood to do the same for something like that. And so this collection that they're doing is to feed programs like what Synchron is trying to do with theirs. Part of it also has to do with the virtual world and digital twin that they're trying to build. Now, if you remember a couple weeks back, I went over a RAND paper that was put out by RAND UK, RAND Europe, which is interesting that this is where all this is taking place. And it has to do with creating a virtual world that whatever happens in the real world will affect the virtual world, but whatever happens in the virtual world will affect the real world as well. And so much so that they're trying to blend them together where even the person doesn't know whether they're in the virtual or the real world when with how they're living. It's trying to create a matrix type thing. Well, in order to do that, your digital twin in the virtual world will have to be able to feed on the same emotions and moods that you have in real life. And so having this system that's establishing that and studying that will be able to feed into the digital twin in order to create that same environment. A lot of this has to do with what Ray Kurzweil, the Google guy, has talked about when it comes to the singularity, where the blending of the real world and the virtual world, you will never know where the real world ends and the virtual world begins. That is going to be the singularity. And this is exactly what RAND Europe was trying to create. This is exactly what they're trying to do when they're feeding AI your emotions and moods, as well as your biometrics. They're trying to create that singularity. And another part of this has to do with social credit, as well as the thought police and AI reading. Of course, we understand social credit. We see what's going on in China. Well, a lot of that has to do with they're trying to create a system that will be able to determine what a person believes based on their thoughts, their moods, emotions, and everything like that. What does that mean? Say that they're playing a speech all across the city by the Antichrist, and you all of a sudden start feeling angry or depressed. When that happens, the AI is going to pick up on that, and it's going to lower your social credit. That is also going to play a part with this as well. Not to mention that they've been working on things like the Korean researchers. I've talked about this in the past as well, where they're using AI to read people's dreams, thoughts, and instantaneous thoughts. What that means is they're trying to be able to, because how do I explain this the best way? If I said, what are you thinking about right now? You're going to actively choose to think about something and then tell me what it is. That's going to be different than what your brain just naturally thinks about on its own that you're not telling it to think about. They want to be able to read that. And that's something that they've been working on. That also plays a part in emotion as well as feelings and mood and stuff like that. So this is something that they've been actively working on for a while. And then when you get to the point, where is it at? No, wow, that's way early. Hold on. It says right here, it is alarming that as a public body, it decided to roll out a large-scale trial of Amazon-made AI surveillance and network stations with no public awareness. Well, if you guys remember when I talked about the UN Cybercrime Treaty, one of the articles in that treaty has to do with the fact of implementing surveillance systems, whether it's human-led or AI-led. They have absolutely no requirement to tell the public that they have been, or will in the future, or any of the technology that they're using to implement to surveil on you. And that falls in line with what that treaty is going to accomplish for that. So these are things that they've definitely been working on for a very long time. So that is what I got. And looks like we got a few questions in here. Let's see here. David Jack, question. How close is the universal digital ID? No idea. All we can do is gauge on information that we see coming out all over the world, not just here in the United States, when it comes to developing and implementing areas of that universal digital ID. The only people who know when that's coming, I would probably say even God at this point. Only he knows. I think even behind the scenes, they have an idea of when they want to get it out. But again, stuff can happen and it can alter their timelines. And so it's coming. When? I don't think anybody knows except God. So just keep that in mind. If anybody says I don't know how many times I've heard people said, what was it? It was last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year. So I heard somebody said that the digital ID was going to be out by fall of last year. Where is it? And they're just throwing darts at a calendar. We don't know. We don't know. Only God knows on that one. But it's coming. We know it's coming. Let's see. I think this is Howie. Is it Howie, I think? Do you think that the Mark of the Beast is a chip so that you can access the Carmen credits? My thing when it comes to the Mark of the Beast is it's going to be something that is both on and in your skin. Whether it's I don't think it's a chip like people think it is. Like, I know a lot of people when the RFID chips came out, there it is, there's the Mark of the Beast. They're way past that. Especially when you look at something like the quantum dot tattoo, which is more particle based. Which can store some pretty hefty information on there. But I think it's going to be something more along the lines of that, much more advanced than just like a chip that you would get that people already have. People have RFID chips. That's how they open cars. That's how they open doors and stuff. So I don't think it's going to be a chip like people think. I think it's going to be much more advanced. And it's going to be on and in the skin, because that's what the Bible says when you look at the word mark in the Greek. It goes on and in. Let's see. Justin, moved on me. There we go. What should the Christian response to a one world currency be? No, we won't go. Passive resistance or jump on in. It's not the mark. My opinion is I don't think that the one world currency will be here while the church is still here. I think that's going to be a post-rapture thing. If you're talking about a digital currency, honestly, people don't like my answer on this, but it's going to be one of those things where you'll be able to put it off for a little bit. But if you want to do anything, you're going to have to, in some way, shape, form, or capacity to do it. And at that moment, where we're at now, I just sit there and go, why are you worried about it? You know, it's not the mark. And again, all you're going to do is make your life more difficult, blocking them from information that they already have anyways. Do you use a credit card? Do you use a debit card? Do you buy anything online? Do you go out into the world in any type of way, shape, or form? They have all the information that digital currency is going to have anyway. So put it off for as long as you want, but I don't think it's anything to fear about. And I know a lot of people don't like my answer on that, but again, it's everybody's trying to hide from a digital eye that already is watching you and has all your information anyways. So all you're doing is making your life more difficult at that point. So it's a personal choice. It's a personal choice. All I'm telling you is all the information that they're going to have when it comes to that, they've already got anyways. So, Beth says, will Amazon turn them into smart homes in order to control? I mean, Amazon's already got their entire smart home systems for sale, and people voluntarily choose to buy that stuff. So, I mean, they could. I think when it comes to things like a 15-minute city, that the whole point is to be able to have 24/7 full access, 360 access to that type of stuff. So I could see that being it. Let's see. Kathy Hill, Zach, would you call the homes, I'm guessing the Amazon homes, public housing? Not sure if I understand your question, Kathy. I'm sorry. I'm not sure I understand your question. The Amazon homes out there promoting it seems to be it's more for low income access. And so, yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Let's see here. Plant Girl K, do you think this will all happen when we're gone? It looks like the restrainers were standing since all this technology is already here. Technology is slowly rolling out. and they're prepping things to get the one world global system, one world digital system online. I think the one world digital system is something that will happen after we're gone. As far as the rollout of technology, I mean, you put it in there already. We're seeing this technology is already here. It's already out. We see like the Amazon Palm Pay. We see the biometric cameras. We're seeing that they're able to identify people biometrically, basically just by walking. They don't even need to scan your face. They can just get it by walking. We see what's going on with digital IDs are already rolling out. In some countries, you can get a digital driver's license now in some states. So this stuff's already here. But when it comes to turning on the one world system, I believe that's going to be something where it's after us. So let's see. Empress Kimberly. So they are collecting data through smart TVs, smart fridges, cells, security cameras. Yes. Anything that's smart that is connected to the internet is collecting data on you. Everything. And that includes things like your smart coffee pot and your TV and stuff, even like smart TVs, where if you don't agree to their terms of use, which grants them access to spy on things that you're watching and listen in on you and stuff like that, then they can turn your TV off. Same thing with like fridges and stuff. It's learning everything about you. It's watching you. A lot of digital smart TVs now. You have the electronic grocery list. Well, guess what? That's collecting the data of what you eat, when you eat it, at what times, during what seasons, and all this stuff. And it's now storing it into your social profile and everything. So all that stuff is collecting data on you. Yes. And Ring doorbells and stuff like that. It's not just collecting data on you if you own one, but it's also collecting on data on anybody that comes to your house, anybody who walks by, learning their patterns of life. I used to do food delivery. Constantly, everybody had Ring doorbells and stuff like that. The moment I walked up, it would say doorbell recording, and I was being recorded, and they knew who I was and how I walked and what I was doing, and it would record all that type of stuff. It also recorded that person was getting a delivery of some type at that time. And yeah, it goes deep. It goes deep, and it gathers all that information. Let's see. Kelly Schultz question. Do you know how many countries have implemented digital ID? I don't know how many countries have implemented digital ID, like a universal ID for the entire country. I'm not sure. Certain areas have done it. Like here in the United States, there's some states who have done it, but we don't have a universal one yet. So that's a hard one. As far as like CBDCs, we know 3 countries currently have them active, with 134 who are in development of them. So I know that's not digital ID, but it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. Let's see. Carol Moody. Won't they require people to have stuff to have the digital currency? I believe that stuff will kind of go hand in hand, because we know the digital ID and digital wallet is going to hold things like your stuff, passports, and whatnot. So they could definitely go hand in hand. I haven't necessarily seen anything like that I can sit here and 100% say this will be required. I'm just going off of stuff that I've seen and my own idea of how they're operating, and go, it's probably going to go hand in hand. So I would say it's a good bet to say that yes, that would be it, but I can't sit here and go, that is the actual thing. Summer, where would you suggest to go to get away from this system, at least for a time? Mountains, countryside? In the arms of Jesus. I know some people might say that's a cop-out answer. But I can tell you, you can move somewhere like that and put it off, live off the land for a certain period of time, but that will not stop them from gathering data on you. I've talked about the IARPA, which is the information branch of DARPA, and their Haystack program, where they have biometric AI surveillance systems that can watch you while you're underground, off the grid, in the middle of nowhere. So you can't remove yourself from the digital eye. they will find you. They will know where you're at because of systems like that. But to actually like not participate in this stuff, yeah, just go live off the grid. Make sure that you have the ability to get running water and power and all that stuff without being connected to a grid, and you can do that. So again, it's up to you on what you want to do with that. But you can't hide anymore. That's what I mean is people want to try and hide from this stuff. You can't hide anymore. They've got technology where you can't even hide underground off the grid anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's see, last but not least, Stephanie. Last question. Stephanie, who washed Washington's white woolen underwear when Washington's washerwoman went west? Well, that would be the Washington washerwoman from the east who came and washed Washington's white woolen underwear. Yep. That's how it goes. Oh, Stephanie, you are ridiculous. I just feel bad for any washerwoman who's washing Washington's white woolen underwear, personally. The skivvies. You got to watch the skivvies. Yeah. It's the white washer woman from the east. That's what I say. Oh, my goodness. All right. That's all we got for questions and stuff. This has been a long episode, especially for Friday. And we got church and stuff to get together or get to do tomorrow. So how we always finish this off, though, we're not going to not do the most important part. We're going to end, of course, with the most important part, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because the fact is, everything that we just talked about, and that was a whole load of bad, ultimately. A whole load of bad. The only way to escape, the only hope that you have when it comes to this is through Jesus Christ. Because we are given the promise of the blessed hope, where we won't have to go through this beast system that we see being constructed in front of our very eyes, because we will be taken, we will be snatched away by Jesus Christ before all this world goes to hell. That's for sure. And just a little thing, it's Lee on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about how we can put our hope in that this coming Tuesday. So I make sure you guys are there for that. But Jesus Christ gives us his gospel. He is the only one that can save. He is the only one that gives us eternal life. He is the only one that can take away our sins. He is the only one that will take us away from this world when utter darkness on top of God's judgment and wrath all get laid upon this earth. And I always say it's just God's going to go Old Testament and he's going to lay the smackdown on this earth, all the while Satan is ruling over the world. Do you really want to be here for that? What we just talked about is a birthday party. That's a walk in the park. You want to be here for when that happens. I don't think you do. And so if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, now is the time. Today is the day. Don't put it off. Don't, just think, oh, I can just, I'll do it next Tuesday. Give me 10 cents for a burger today and I'll pay you back next Tuesday. Don't be going wimpy on this. Put your hope in Jesus Christ. And his gospel is simple as ABC. A is you admit that you're a sinner. You admit that you were born into sin, that you are a sinner. And you repent. You turn from, I can do it myself, to Jesus. There's still this false idea of what repentance is, but repentance is ultimately a change of mind from self to Jesus. And in order to truly believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior, the one who takes away that sin, you have to admit that you have it in the first place. And that's repentance. So you repent, which allows you to believe in Jesus Christ. You believe that Jesus Christ is the one and only begotten Son of God, that he came down 100% man, 100% God, the God-man, the one and only. No, Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, all these people are not gods. They're not God-mans. Only Jesus Christ is the God-man. And he came down and lived the perfect sinless life. the only one to do so, which means he was the only one qualified to take the weight of the world, to take the sins of the world upon his shoulders and die upon the cross. No other could do that, for it would just be another man dying. It was only Jesus Christ. And so he took your sin, he took my sin, carried it to the cross, died upon that cross. But just as he promised, just as he said he would, he defeated death and he rose again on the third day, for there is power in the blood of Jesus Christ. For all who believe in him shall not perish, but live forever in his presence and in his glory. And see, as you call upon the Lord, nothing extravagant. It's just reaching out, going, Lord Jesus, I'm a sinner and I have sinned and I need you alone to save me. Lord Jesus, I believe that you are the one and only begotten Son of God, that you lived the sinless life, that you died upon the cross, you defeated death and rose again on the third day. Lord Jesus, forgive me of my sins. Come into my life, come into my heart, and save me. Amen. Today is the day. Don't put it off. And if you think that you can Rambo through tribulation, the day of the Lord, through Jacob's trouble, through the Antichrist kingdom, through the wrath of God, if you think you can Rambo through that, you've got another thing coming. Don't put your hope and your faith in yourself. Put it in the promise and in the blood of Jesus Christ. Don't wait. All right, guys, that is all I got. Thank you for joining me. Again, I apologize that it went a little long, especially for Saturday. I try not to make Saturdays go so long, but sorry, a lot of stuff to cover. And, we had a lot of questions. I mean, questions that absolutely needed to be answered, like Stephanie's Washington's underwear question. I'm just playing. So, yeah, we got stuff. So I'm not going to take up too much time, but just last bit, usual spiel. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about views, not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people, getting people to Jesus. That's ultimately what we need to be doing. That's what we're commanded to do. And with how the algorithm and all that stuff works, liking, sharing, and subscribing does help get out to more people. And hopefully, just one is enough. We hope for more, but just one is more than enough for getting the gospel and making sure that somebody comes to the saving grace of Jesus Christ. So if you guys can, like, share, subscribe, that'd be great. Make sure you guys follow me, Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram. Those are my backup live streaming channels. If I get booted off YouTube, we'll be backup live streaming on Rumble. Odyssey is an emergency platform there just in case things go extremely south. Hopefully they don't, but it's there just in case. And if you have an account, you might as well follow me there. And then Telegram, I post updates, announcements, news, things, and anything in between. Like when I'm going to be on with Vindog, I'll post that link ahead of time, make sure everybody knows what's going on. And I post other stuff as well. So make sure you guys follow me there. Of course, we got the one-stop shop for knowing what's going on, and that is the WretchedWatchmen.com website. So make sure you guys check that out if you guys aren't aware of it. If you want to know what's going on, like I'm not live streaming and I didn't announce it, make sure you guys head over to the website. I'll make sure you guys are aware of what's going on there. So make sure you guys follow me there. Monday, 6 p.m. Central, I will be over in the dog kennel with Vindog Radio. So make sure you guys wander on over there and check us out when we do that. Tuesday, same time, same place here, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will have none other than Lee Brainerd on. We're going to be talking about the blessed hope, pre-tribulation rapture, and debunking some of those ridiculous arguments about those who oppose the pre-tribulation rapture. So make sure you guys go ahead and join us for that on Tuesday. It's going to be a great time. First time I've had Lee on my channel. He's had me on his. So it'll be the first time I'll have him over here. And last but not least, if you guys want to support this ministry and what I do, I cannot do this without you. You guys are the ones that allow me to do this. So if the Lord placed it upon your heart and you would like to help keep this going, I do have donation links down below, CashApp, Venmo, and Give, Send, Go. Thank you for those who do donate. Allow me to do this. I am truly blessed. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, guys, that's all I got. So yeah, make sure you guys get your heathenic booties to church tomorrow. And if the Lord does not come back by Tuesday, same time, same place, I'll meet you guys right back here with me and Lee. All right, peace out. Maranatha.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.